What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 7 of WrestleGeek Weekly on Geektacular.TV. My name is Bruce, aka Geektacular. With me, as always, he is senior live events blogger over at WrestlingNewsWorld.com and a seasoned pro wrestling connoisseur. He is Mr. Sean Hopkins.
How many of those Pepsis have you had today, Bruce?
Too many.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, along with how many cups of coffee?
You don't need to know that.
Man, you are just way too energetic for me today.
Psyched up.
Yeah, well, we've got a very special edition of WrestleGeek Weekly this week, so you should get psyched up. Normally, we would be running down, the 5 things that we were excited to see on a pay-per-view that was yet to happen. But due to a little scheduling conflict yesterday, a.k.a. Bruce forgetting, we are actually going to be looking at the pay-per-view after it happened. So that's kind of nice. We're going to be able to give our thoughts on some of the things that occurred. And this week there's going to actually be no order as far as good to bad, bad to good, anything like that. We're actually just going to be running down the things that happened on the card as they happen. So, Bruce, if you're ready, are you ready?
I'm always ready. I was ready yesterday, Sean.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. We can go ahead and get into the discussion this week with number 5. Which was actually the thing that opened the pay-per-view, and that was James Storm taking on Bully Ray. Now, I know you actually missed this match on the card.
Yeah, I was out of town, which is why we had a scheduling conflict yesterday, and I didn't quite get back in time for the very beginning, so I actually missed that match.
And that's okay, because I'll go ahead and let you know that you did not miss anything. For people that didn't get the pay-per-view, basically, there was an angle earlier in the day where TNA posted a video online of Bully Ray saying he was going to take the show hostage, and he essentially tried to do that and make a match for #1 contendership between himself and James Storm. James Storm just came out and basically said, "Okay," and the match happened. And was about 30 seconds long. It was very much like the match where Storm won the championship from Kurt Angle. Bully Ray got in a couple of punches, and Storm just got in the super kick, and it was over. Even not having seen that, Bruce, just having heard what happened, what are your feelings on that?
I don't know. I feel like that the two of them probably could have put on a okay match, so I don't know why they just didn't let them have an actual match. Like, there's nothing wrong with that booking. I mean, they're both doing really good work lately, so I don't know why they wouldn't just let them have a real match.
Yeah, it didn't make much sense to me, because Storm, I understand that Storm is someone that they're building up for a championship run, if not next month at Lockdown, certainly down the line somewhere.
Right.
But I feel like Bully Ray could be a viable world champion in TNA right now, based on his work recently, and that didn't do him any favors last night, and it really it felt like a waste of 20 minutes or so of a pay-per-view opener to me. I was just a little disappointed that I had to sit through it and cover it.
Yeah, I mean, that's really bizarre. Especially because Bully Ray's been on Impact like every single week, basically.
And he's fairly dominant as well.
Yeah, he usually does really well, so I don't know why they just didn't book them in a real match.
It didn't make much sense to me, and I would have much preferred a match later on in the show that was given more time and was much more competitive. Especially if Storm was so willing to put up his #1 contendership. I mean, why not just have it that way from the get-go? Why have Bully Ray tease taking the show hostage? Why all the build-up? It's unnecessary.
I don't know. That sounds like something that they could have done very easily on like Impact or something at some point.
Yes, very much so.
Like between two long commercial breaks or something.
Yeah, but since you didn't get to see that, and since it makes me entirely just too mad to talk about it, let's just get it out of the way and go ahead and move on to number 4, which was Zema Ion and Austin Aries for the X Division Championship, which was the first match on the card that you actually got to see.
Right.
What did you think of this one?
I liked it a lot, actually. I thought it was really good. I remember thinking that it seemed a little short. I kind of wish it was a little bit longer. But for an X Division match, I thought it actually turned out really well. I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty fantastic, fast-paced match, and I liked the way that they changed things up with Ion's hairspray can coming into use. It was a little different than things that we've seen in the past, and those two just put on great matches, and I'm interested to see where they go from here. I hope that maybe Ion can get back in the race for contendership for that belt, or maybe even get the belt off of Aries and maybe put Aries into contention for the world title. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, they've definitely been the two X Division people that are getting all the attention lately. So.
Now let me ask you, what did you think about Ion using that moonsault move from out of the corner that was the move that ultimately put out Jesse Sorensen?
I thought about that when it happened. I don't know. I mean, you can't... I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be, like, his thing now. Like, I don't know what I feel about it. I think it's okay. I hope that just doesn't become, like, his like, thing. Like, I'm going to moonsault your neck apart or something. Like, I hope he doesn't come up with some weird, like, catchphrase about it. Or, like, I hope it doesn't become, like, his signature thing to do to people.
Yeah, or just get named something terrible, like, I know that this is Gregory Helms' old finishing maneuver, but something like the Vertebreaker, or, as long as it's not renamed something like that in very poor taste. I think I'm okay with it, because it's a very exciting move, and there are tons of people out there who perform it correctly 99 out of 100 times, and Ion is someone that performs it correctly, and I mean, there wasn't anything necessarily wrong about when he did it on Jesse Sorensen, but maybe just hold off on that move for a couple months. I don't know. I think maybe it was a little too soon.
Right. Yeah. I definitely feel like it could have been that way. I think the fact that they didn't really bring attention to it very much kind of helped.
Yeah, I mean, although they did call it out, they did. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't totally swept under the rug. It was referenced. So
yeah, I think as long as they don't start habitually making that like the thing that he does,
or just a call. I mean, continually calling it like that's the move that put Jesse Sorensen out for a year. Right. That's I don't want to hear that every time he does that move.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with it once. We'll see where they take it, I guess.
Well, that was a completely unrelated hint. But let's go ahead and get on to topic number 3 for this week, and we're going to talk about. I don't know how you felt about this, Bruce. I know how I felt about this.
Oh gosh.
But we're going to talk about Devon returning to TNA and winning the TNA Television Championship.
I don't even have a lot to say about that.
It was so out of left field. Yeah. I don't understand where it came from.
Okay, I think I kind of dread whenever Devon's around now in TNA because it always means something weird is going to happen. Like, they went on that, 6-month thing about, the Pope stealing his family or something, which is just, the weirdest idea to begin with. He's like trying to steal his identity or something.
It is pro wrestling, Bruce. I mean, you do have to suspend your disbelief.
I mean, there's a lot of things I could have done, but that was just really weird, and it was like a really slow burn. And every time he'd come on, something weird would happen with his like sons like admiring the Pope for some reason. It was just really bizarre. And for like 6 months, every time he would show up, I knew that something weird and nonsensical was about to happen. And it was unfortunate that at this time something weird and also nonsensical happened for no real apparent reason.
Yeah, I just, like you said, I think it just really came out of left field for me, and I know a lot of people were expecting Rob Van Dam. At one point, the crowd even started chanting for RVD. So I think people may have gotten their hopes up, and no offense to Devon, but I don't think that he's someone that really gets people nearly as excited as Rob Van Dam. Mm-hmm. Not saying that he's not a solid wrestler. He is a solid wrestler. But I just wonder, what's the point of putting the television title on him? You know, does that really add any prestige to the title? Is it so that maybe he can rub it in Bully Ray's face that he got a singles title before him, and maybe they can feud over that? I don't know.
That's the weird thing also, is because I thought that they would be giving him a belt to bring back the Bully Ray Devon rivalry, but Bully Ray for the last several months has been more on a track for the world heavyweight title and not for any of the lower ones. So he's not even like, he doesn't even have that belt in his sights or anything. Like, I don't think he would care to have it. Or, I mean, he might, but...
Well, who knows? I mean, James Storm may have just super kicked him back to the mid-card last night. I mean,
it was so hard.
It was such a quick and decisive match that I'm telling you, it didn't do any favors for Bully Ray, and it did nothing but hurt him.
Yeah, and I mean, Bully Ray, up until a few weeks ago, he was like near the top of the contender list for a shot for the title. So he hasn't really been since I guess he hasn't really been since Rude has had the title. But yeah, immediately prior to that, he was like at the top of the list for a shot at it. And he's still been bugging Bobby for a shot at the title since he's won it. So it would seem weird if they would try to bring back a rivalry for a lower tier belt when they've constantly been pushing him as wanting the major title. So,
well, and I understand that, but then at the same time, who else in TNA does it make sense for Devon to feud with for that title?
I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
he's never on screen, so he doesn't have like many beefs with people.
Yeah, and I mean, Pope hasn't been around for a good while, and I don't think people are really itching to see Devon and Pope go at it again. I mean, I guess he could feud with Robbie E over the belt since he took the belt from him.
Devon versus Robbie E.
But that's, it was a match that didn't get me excited last night, and I don't think it's going to be a match that gets me excited on any impacts in the future. So I just don't see, like I said, I don't see the point in this. And, if you're going to throw the belt on somebody, why not put it on RVD, somebody who is like a famous television champion, of days past. But
I don't even know is RVD even under contract with TNA anymore?
I think that if he's not, it's probably coming up soon, but there may have been renegotiations. I mean, who knows?
I think I read that his contract was expiring at some point, and they weren't sure if he was going to renew it or something.
I guess until they take his face off the roster page, we can consider him a part of TNA.
Yeah, I would much rather see somebody like RVD have the belt. I mean, like you said, Devon he's not like a bad wrestler. He's very good with, like, he's good with the fundamentals and everything, but he's just not very, like, he doesn't get people hyped up, really.
He's very unexciting.
Right. Yeah, he's very technically good, but unexciting for the most part. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe they're planning to... See, this is what always frustrates me about TNA, is that they do stuff, and then they explain it later. Like, I feel like that's a common theme that we're seeing, is that they'll just throw, like, the belt on somebody random, and then they'll wait until later to actually, like, build up a reason why they need it. And,
if at all.
Yeah, so it's kind of frustrating, like, in this standpoint.
I still honestly don't understand why Robbie E needed the TNA TV title.
I have no idea.
But I'm a person that never wants to see any title taken off of Eric Young in the first place.
I would have to agree with that. EY's the man, so if we can keep him with a belt, I would be happy. But
all right, so you wanna go ahead and move on to number 2?
Let's do it.
All right, so number 2 is what was in the semi-main event slot last night, and that was Jeff Hardy taking on Kurt Angle. I know you're a creature, Bruce. What do you think of your guy?
Sorry.
Last night.
I actually thought it was a pretty good match overall. I liked the ending. I thought the ending was pretty good.
It definitely left it open to another match down the line.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I kind of like that sort of that kind of twist ending better than most. I don't just a lot of times I don't just like straight up like cheating. Like that's anybody can, you know, distract the ref and, you know, somebody go in and hit him with a chair or something, and then, you know, that happens a lot, and that's okay. But I liked the setup for the ending in that match, where like they were in the exact like position where the ref was like he was like right there in the middle of them basically, but he had his back like turned just the right way so he couldn't see the rope, the leverage pull. I thought that was really good. I thought they both did pretty well.
It's a nice old trick. I was also like I came out of this match a fan, and I think that, you know, after Aries and Ion, that this was probably the second best match of the night. You know, Hardy he's been fairly impressive since coming back. I'll go ahead and say that. And Kurt Angle makes everybody that he works with in the ring that much better just by association of being in proximity of Kurt Angle. He's such an incredible athlete, and it's really amazing that he's able to go at the level and at the pace that he's going, you know, right now. So I'm looking forward to another match between these two.
Yeah, it was throughout almost the whole match, it was really fast paced, and it was really nice. It was really good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and you know, it was really competitive, and there were a lot of spots where I didn't know who was going to win, and honestly, I expected going into it that Hardy would win. Mm-hmm. But they were able to, you know, get me caught up in it and get me interested in seeing who would come out on top.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. There were several 2 counts that I thought were going to be 3 counts when Angle was down. So I think Angle is like a master of the 2.99 count or something.
He's definitely, I mean, he's better than most.
Yeah, so
I mean, you could say that about any of his skills in pro wrestling, mm-hmm. compared to anybody else in pro wrestling.
Yeah, I thought it was a great match. I liked it a lot, definitely.
All right, well, I mean, I think we've heaped enough praise on that one. I think we can go ahead and move on to the number 1 thing. Again, remember, this isn't the top thing.
This isn't in order of goodness.
This was in order of how it happened on the card. So this was the main event last night, and it was Sting versus Robert Roode. Woo. What a boring match.
And not only Was the match itself boring? It continued to be boring after the match was over.
And it was one of just the lamest no-holds-barred matches. Like, they did so few things to make it no-holds-barred.
I almost didn't even realize that there were any, like, extra rules in that match.
And I'm sorry, like, to anybody out there that is a huge Sting fan, but how foolish did he look when he gave Rude the Scorpion Death Drop and slammed his own head into the steel chair? Sting is supposed to be like this, he's a veteran. He's been wrestling for decades. He's a multiple-time world champion, and he doesn't have the ring awareness to know when somebody sets up a chair in the ring. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I was not very, I was not very impressed. I like Sting. I liked Sting, like, back in the day when he was in his prime.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I used to love Sting.
Right. But he's just old now. He's he's fine in, like, a leadership role or whatever, like a promo role or running the show, but I really don't think he should be wrestling, especially in pay-per-view main events.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like every time he's like, I'm done, or I want to retire, I'm just kind of sitting there going, oh man, I hope this one sticks. And it's such a shame to think that about someone who has such a great legacy. I mean, he's very quickly turning into that same kind of Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair, where it's almost sad to watch him in the ring. And I mean, if I hadn't been doing live coverage last night for WrestlingNewsWorld.com, that match would have put me to sleep.
Also, like, it for being the main event, it didn't even have, like, it didn't have any sort of good or exciting ending. Like,
no, it's very anticlimactic.
It was like, it got, I mean, maybe you thought, even if you thought the match was at all exciting in any way, as soon as it ended, there was like 10 more minutes of Bobby Roode just walking around with a chair, like
screaming at Dixie Carter, and duct taping Sting to the ropes for no reason.
And then it just ended. Like,
yeah, and you gotta wonder, like, where was James Storm? Where was Mr. Anderson? Where was AJ Styles? Where were any of the company's good guys?
That would have been a perfect opportunity for, and people were even chanting for various wrestlers while he was doing it.
I mean, they wanted to put James Storm over so big at the beginning of the pay-per-view by having him beat Bully Ray so decisively. How much more, strong would Storm have looked if he and Ray had had a competitive match, and then he had come out and made the save at the end of the pay-per-view and hit Rude with the super kick?
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
And have Storm standing tall over Rude holding the title. How much better would he have looked? And that's not a very, like, uncommon ending. That's pretty standard. That's Pro Wrestling 101. It was kind of like the rock concert segment that I talked about in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly this week, which you should definitely check out over at Wrestling News World's YouTube channel. Cheap plug. It just dragged on, and it didn't seem like it was going to stop. And I don't know. I just kept hoping it would fade to black sooner than it did.
Yeah, I don't know. I unfortunately didn't have. I wish they had made the Hardy Angle match the main event somehow.
That definitely would have been more exciting.
Because the end of, like, that whole match was exciting, and even the end of it was like, it was kind of like surprising and exciting and all of that. They could have ended the pay-per-view right after that, and like it would have ended on, like, a good note.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that any match would have been hard to end that card last night, just because a lot of those matches had pretty screwy finishes to them.
Yeah, that's.
And I don't know that, I don't know that the fans would have been happy to the ending of really any of those matches in the main event slot.
Right.
Fans don't really like to go home feeling like they've just been screwed out of something. And, I don't know about you, but last night when the show was over, I kind of breathed a sigh of relief that I got through it, especially that main event. And I don't know, that's just not a good feeling. That's not a feeling that I think TNA wants their customers to be having after pay-per-view events.
Yeah, and I also feel like, I don't know, I feel like after the Victory Road debacle last year, they would want to really like try to amp it up this year and make it like extra good.
And not only that, but they're on the road to lockdown, which, is an entirely and wholly original concept, not taken from anything at all. So if they're on the road to lockdown, which is supposed to be such a big pay-per-view, don't they want to, if they're so blatantly copying WWE in name, why not try and put on those big shows like the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania? Those are big shows that come in succession and are worth checking out.
Right.
This was not worth checking out, and it doesn't have me excited for lockdown.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like TNA likes to put all their eggs into very few baskets when it comes to pay-per-views. Like, they do it every month, but they put, I mean, I guess that's kind of standard.
Well, and I'll say that they do that so far as in promotion for the matches. But then the problems with the pay-per-views themselves is often they're too crammed full of matches and interview segments. And, you don't need to have an interview segment for every single match. You don't need to send it backstage to Jeremy Borash for every single, after every single match. You don't need to have the taglines and the X Factors and the tale of the tape. You don't need that stuff. That's all stuff that could be talked about in the match. Right. And all of that is time that could either be added to the matches, or think about, they could keep all that stuff and just cut one or two of those really stupid short matches that people are going to be mad that they paid for, and they could give that time to other matches to help make them better. Mm-hmm. I would pay money for that.
Yeah, it's really, it's kind of a shame because, like, I really like TNA. I really want to like them more than I do. Like, I really want to.
That's me. I mean, I want to like TNA. They have so many things going for them in terms of such a talented roster, and now they've got some really good people working for them behind the scenes, but it's just, I don't know what it is about the company, but none of the pieces can seem to fall in place. Nothing can seem to click.
Yeah,
and I'm so sorry to be so negative about TNA, because I really do want them to succeed, and I want for there to be another company that can step up and challenge, WWE. But when Ring of Honor is doing the same numbers, for their TV show that's running on these, small little local affiliates at 2 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the morning, and Ring of Honor's had television for how long compared to TNA? It's just, it's disappointing, and I don't know. It's probably even more disappointing for me to talk about than it is for our listeners to hear it.
Yeah. Well, I will say that I still do enjoy TNA a lot. So I hope that they kind of step up the pay-per-view game a little bit, and maybe they'll draw some more viewers in. Maybe that'll let them do some better stuff. I don't know. You can always hope.
I don't want to give people the wrong idea. I find things to enjoy in TNA.
Right.
There's stuff there. It's just you do have to dig through a significant amount more crap than you do on like your average Raw or SmackDown to get to that really good stuff.
Right.
With 2 hours of programming a week, TNA needs to do a lot better than that.
Yeah. I hear you, buddy.
Well, that's it for this week. I don't want to beat a dead horse for too long.
We always end the show negatively.
Oh, that's just not true.
Next week we'll come up with something super awesome to end the show with.
As long as something super awesome happens.
Right. If not, we'll make it up.
Maybe I'll talk about something super awesome that happened on my new WG DVD, 3, which will be reviewed over at my blog, pwgproject.blogspot.com, in like 2 years after I get through the next 100 or so DVDs I've got on.
So you just have to wait 2 years from today and you can read the review of that DVD.
You can read the preview now, though.
Oh, hey, there you go.
And also, definitely make sure you go over and check out WrestlingNewsWorld.com for all of the best and most accurate wrestling news that you're going to find out there on the good old interwebs.
Word. And I guess I'll just say thanks again to Sean for offering his expertise this week.
Thank you, Bruce. Oh,
Whoa.
I always forget that. Yeah, it's mirrored for me.
And in case you guys missed it, check out these links down here below.
I can get that one.
Yeah, that way is still right. But yeah, be sure to check us out. Be sure to check us out on all these social media sites. We'd really appreciate your subscription or likes or whatever.
Share us with your friends.
Yeah.
Nice guys. We don't bite.
Yeah, you can embed this video wherever you want on your own site or your own blog or something.
You can take us home to your mom's.
Yeah, we'll cook dinner.
We're nice guys.
And then also don't forget, if you like what you saw today, be sure to thumbs up this video on YouTube and feel free to comment below. If you have something to say or if you think we're totally wrong or awesomely right, or you want to just tell us how attractive we both are. Or mainly just me? I don't know. But maybe one episode we'll have to have a sexy contest.
We can have a pose-off like Ultimate Warrior and Rick Rude back at one of those old Royal Rumbles back in the day.
Pose off. That sounds promising.
I'm gonna get my like stretchy, crazy bar that Rude had and whack you from behind like he did to Warrior. Take you out.
Maybe that'll be a special.
Stayed away. Whatever.
Maybe that'll be a special episode.
I'll pluck it like a boomerang.
So yeah, thanks again for watching, and be sure to check out Geektacular.TV for this and other great web shows by geeks and for geeks, including our streaming movie review show, Instant Gratification. And I guess we will see you next week right here on WrestleGeek Weekly.
Do the snapmare.